Hello and welcome to the Last Movie Outpost. I'm your host today, Boba Phil, and I'm going to be talking about Thor Love and Thunder. Overall, the movie was not bad. There are going to be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the film, it's kind of your own fault. Gorr, at the beginning, is carrying his daughter, Love, across an open desert. He's praying to the gods that they will help him, but his daughter dies. He then finds his god, and it turns out his god is a kind of a jerk. But it's okay because he is then chosen by the Necro Sword to become a god butcher, and he kills his god and goes on a murderous rampage. So it's actually quite a good introduction. I quite liked it. Thought to myself, actually a proper villain, much like Hela in Ragnarok. Anyway, we then meet up with Thor, who is teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy from the end of Endgame. It kind of took away all the glory of Guardians of the Galaxy. I've enjoyed both those movies, both the first two, and obviously the third one's going to include Thor. But what's good about the Guardians of the Galaxy is they're just kind of a ragtag group of mercenaries who, go for the highest buck and everything else. When they've got a god with them who is pretty much indestructible, they just kind of stand around and watch Thor do his thing. Took quite a lot away from Guardians, but that's only in the first few minutes anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Kang is back and he does a voiceover for the whole thing. Now I have to say this, that I am finding, and I've been practicing this, Taika Waititi is getting a little bit annoying doing the whole New Zealand accent. Like in Free Guy, he was kind of the same thing, and it just gets a little bit grating after a while. So Kang doing the voiceover, it's not great. It's like Kang should be a sidekick like he was in Ragnarok. But unfortunately in this movie, everybody is a sidekick to everybody else. Anyway, it also turns out that Jane Foster unfortunately has cancer. But Thor promised Mjolnir, the hammer, to look after Jane. So when she picks up the hammer, she actually gets better from the cancer. But she also turns into Mrs. Thor. Yep, we can't have a male superhero being the lead anymore. We've got to have those ladies doing just as well. Gorr the God Butcher decides to attack New Asgard. Now, again, this was an interesting thing. He can summon these evil demon shadow creatures from the Netherworld and attack everybody and kill everyone. So when there's a massive battle going on where people are obviously dying, Jane and Thor have a little moment where they reminisce, and Korg tells the story of how they broke up. Whilst there's people dying, the two most powerful characters there are having a moment catching up with each other while people are battling for their lives. Anyway, Gorr then decides to take all the children to the Shadow Realm. So Thor thinks that the best thing to do is to rally some of the other gods to fight. So he heads off to a place called Omnipotence, which is where all the other gods live. We come to Russell Crowe playing Zeus. I never got the impression that Zeus was tubby. Russell Crowe is a great actor. He was Gladiator. Now he looks like he's glad he ate her. It was badly done, and they leaned too much into the comedy of the whole thing, and it just kind of didn't work very well. And then Thor needs his lightning bolt, Zeus's lightning bolt, so he takes it off him, and then he appears to kill Zeus with it. I mean, it turns out that Zeus isn't dead, but it is nice that the fact that Thor uses Zeus's lightning bolt to kill Zeus because there's another person killing gods. Anyway, the whole scene felt like filler. Anyway, he then goes on to try and find Gorr so that he can stop him himself. Gorr is trying to get to a place called Eternity where he can make one single wish, which is for all the gods to die. Thor goes on his own, but it's okay because he's there. He manages to rescue the children and then empower them with magical weapons and his strength so that they can battle on his... That's something that Thor can do now. He hasn't done it before. Might have been handy, for example, at the end of Endgame, fighting Thanos. and silly things like that. But yeah, so all the kids become powerful. In fact, one of them fights with a little teddy rabbit. It's just magical. So even though Thor is starting to lose against Gore, it's okay because Jane comes to save the day. It actually turns out that the Mjolnir is killing her every time she takes up the mantle, so she does it one last time to save Thor. She's so great. My favourite line in the film is, and I'm just going to read this. She says, "I am not Lady Thor. My name is Mighty Thor, and if it's still too hard for you, you can call me Dr. Jane Foster." Yes, because Dr. Jane Foster is just as powerful as Thor. Anyway, they manage to get to this eternity, and Gore goes to make his wish. But Thor, and to a lesser extent Jane, wishes that tells him to wish that his daughter comes back and that love comes back. I can't help thinking, but this wish portal would have been very, very handy during the Endgame and several other of the other movies. But as long as you ignore those other movies, then the eternity thing doesn't really matter. Just ignore those. And also, I thought to myself, why didn't Thor just wish for Gore to go away? But that's not the case. Anyway, Gore wishes his daughter back and then dies. If you're making one wish, maybe it's, I wish that me and my daughter could live a happy life together and not just for my daughter to come back so that I can die. It turns out then that Thor has adopted Love, the young girl, and hence why the name is Love and Thunder. Because as we know, superheroes can't do anything on their own. They always need women to help them. We've seen it time and time again. Hulk, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, Captain Marvel even, Loki, and soon to be Iron Man in the new Ironheart. The same thing has gone on with Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maybe it's a theme that Disney are running. I mean, it's good for these superheroes to be replaced by women. I'm all for that, especially teenage girls, because as we all know, teenage girls make very wise decisions in things like music and the choices and life-altering choices that they may make. Overall, this movie is a Taika Waititi movie more than a Thor movie. I'm getting a bit Waititi fatiguey. Honestly, I didn't really laugh throughout the movie, just like you didn't at that joke. I barely cracked a smile. All the jokes are forced, like the screaming goats. Laugh at the screaming jokes, everybody. There are screaming goats. It was kind of annoying that it was a mixed reaction against the seriousness of Gore, because he was a genuine threat, and yet the rest of the movie is full of jokes. This kind of worked in Jojo Rabbit, which was made by Waititi, because it was viewed from a child's perspective where things could have been, much more imagined as a child. But as this movie, as a Marvel movie, I just didn't find myself going for it very much. All in all, I give Thor Love and Thunder 1.5 stars, and that's mostly for Christian Bale, because he enjoyed chewing the scenery and he did a very good job to it. Well, at least it's the last Thor movie. Oh no, wait, they've got more coming out, haven't they? Anyway, that was my very quick review of Thor Love and Thunder. I'm Boba Phil, this is the Last Movie Outpost. Like and subscribe and do all that other stuff. Leave a comment on how bad you think my review was. Anyway, it was nice to chat to you and keep watching movies. What a terrible sign-off.